Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Mosky here again with another beer review for you, as is usual. So for this one we're going to go down to Brazil, and this will be the very first Brazilian beer review that I actually do for you. So we're going to the state of Para, the city of Belém in this state, which is actually the capital city of Para, and we're going to visit the Cervejaria Amazonia. And we're going to taste the forest fruit Bacuri beer. Now I'm not sure exactly what style this is, if it's a fruit IPA or if it's a fruit beer in the style or in the sense that a Belgian fruit beer is. I'm really not sure exactly what this one is, but it's my very first Brazilian craft beer review anyway, so I'm quite excited to try it. And for this video as well, I should give a shout out to my friend Val, who is actually from Para in Brazil. So a shout out to Val, hello, and hopefully she enjoys my first Brazilian craft beer review. So as is usual for you then with my beer reviews, I'll take you through a very brief history of the brewery. It is very short because there's not too much information available on this one, so if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, feel free just to go forward a few minutes into the video and you will catch that segment. And as always, the brewery website is in the video description there, but I will point out it is only in Portuguese. So anyway, this brewery, as I mentioned to you, comes from the city of Belém, which is the capital city of the state of Para in the very north of Brazil, quite close to the Guyanese border if you like. But the city apparently has the nicknames of the city of the mango trees and also the metropolis of the Amazon. And Belém is also, the actual word Belém is actually also the Portuguese translation of Bethlehem, and obviously this is where Jesus is supposed to have been born. And in Brazil they are actually very, very religious people from what I gather. But the brewery itself was founded back in 2000 and it's located in the Dock Station Entertainment Complex in the Old Port area of Belém, and it actually looks really beautiful. You should go on the website and just have a look at the little photographs on this place. It looks really, really nice, and they've got all the sort of copper kettles that you can see. It's basically a sort of brew pub. It's apparently, they brew 6 different beers on site and they like to take a sort of natural approach to their beers. It says on their website that they don't put any chemical preservatives into their stuff, and it seems that each different beer is actually infused with a sort of different type of Amazonian fruit there, which they cultivate naturally from the forest. But as I mentioned to you, the brewery is essentially a brew pub and it's apparently the largest of its kind in Brazil. But since their foundation they've actually been very highly decorated, and last year in 2013 they were actually voted the best craft brewery in Brazil. So hopefully this is the first of many Brazilian craft beers that we start to get over here in Scotland, and of course hopefully there will actually be some coming through Brewdog. They've just opened up a new bar in Sao Paulo in Brazil, so hopefully there will be many more Brazilian craft beers starting to appear in Scotland. And if you are interested in buying this one in Scotland, by the way, you can pick it up in Oddbin stores, and of course that goes for the United Kingdom as well. So just to tell you a little bit more about the other beers you can get from this brewery, their other ones include the IPA Gumaru, the River Lager, the Forest Pilsner, obviously there's this guy here which is the Forest Bacuri, the Wit Beer Tapareba, the Red Ale Priprioca, and also the Stout Agai. And just to tell you about the exact fruit that's in this beer, Bacuri, it's actually a fruit that's native to the Amazonian rainforest, and it goes by a few different names. This includes Platonia, the Manibali, Naranjito, and also the Bacurizario. And the fruit, apparently it's quite commonly to use this in beverages in Brazil, and it contains high levels of phosphorus, iron and vitamin C, so a fruit that's quite good for you, I would say. But the brown seeds of the fruit can actually also be used as a home remedy for skin irritations, I believe mosquito bites and things like that, so quite a cool fruit anyway. So I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. It's quite nicely presented actually, quite a kind of sort of tropical Amazon-y feel as you would expect, but let me just sort this out. So here you go. Here's the sort of nice artwork on this one here. You can see the little Amazonian monkey in the top there. And all of the beers actually, they're all in this sort of similar style of label. They all just have a kind of different colour actually. There you can get a better look at the Amazon symbol if you like, and it's just a plain bottle cap on this one, but it's 4.1% alcohol content, and as I mentioned to you, I'm not sure whether it's a fruit IPA or whether it's just a fruit beer in the sense that a Belgian fruit beer is, but we'll soon find out with the tasting here. But it's 4.1% alcohol content, and it says craft beer flavoured with citrus sharp and uniquely scented Bacuri fruit. Bacuri is not cultivated and is harvested freshly from the wild. And it says it's real rainforest refreshment as well, and it obviously has all the stuff on the back, pregnant women don't drink and all this. But without further ado, let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting here. So as I mentioned to you, a 4.1% fruit beer of some description. As you can see, a nice little nice little smoky opening there, sorry, I've got fruit on the brain. But let's get this guy out and see how we get on here. Very unique. If I just take a little sniff of that as I'm pouring it, you can get the sort of hint of this kind of very unique fruit there. But as you can see when I bring this guy out, it's a really beautifully clear beer. As you can see, if I just check, you're seeing this on the camera. Very, very clear beer actually. If I put my fingers behind that there, you can just see you can see them moving behind it there. So very, very clear beer, a kind of pale straw golden colour, about a half finger of a frothy white head there. Really beautiful looking beer actually, really quite interesting. But let's give it a smell and see how we get on here. But yeah, it's a really interesting one, this. It reminds me a little bit of the smell of maracuyas actually, but it's got a very unique aroma to it. It's almost quite lemon and limey at some stage, but there's a bit of kind of it's almost as if there's a little bit of grapefruit in there as well. It's a sort of some kind of unusual mix between lemon and grapefruit. Very, very unique. By the smell of it, I would say this is more a fruit beer than an IPA. You're not really getting any of the sort of caramel malts or anything that come with the IPAs in this at all. But yeah, a really unique aroma. You can see the head is just kind of fading on this one here, probably just because I'm sugaring it up. But yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of bready yeast underlying in there as well. So it must just be a sort of straight out fruit beer. But let's give it a taste and see how we get on here. Yeah, definitely a fruit beer rather than a sort of IPA. But yeah, it's not like a beer I've ever tasted before actually. But yeah, it's quite a tart beer actually. It's not quite as sharp as some of these things that, like for example, that you get from Brewdog, where it's got that really kind of sharp tartness to it, but it does have that kind of lemony citric feel to it, but it is quite sharp, and it tastes as if there's a sort of very kind of mild grapefruit flavour in there too. It goes along with the aroma, the taste fits the aroma quite well in this one. But yeah, there's a kind of it's almost as if it has like a very light German Pilsner core to it, and then it's just got this kind of fruit infusion on the top of it. Yeah, I would stick with that kind of analogy for it. It definitely has a sort of Pilsner style core to it, with a nice little bit of kind of light malts and kind of bready yeast in there, and then it's just got this kind of fruit infusion on the top. Those kind of bready malts are coming out again on the finish. They are white bread malts, or Pilsner style malts, but on top of it you've just got this very, very kind of unique fruity flavour that's kind of citric fruits merged with sort of I would say maracuya actually. That's the kind of fruit juice that's actually making me think of it. So you've got sort of maracuya there and grapefruits and things. That it is really a kind of this fruit is a very kind of unusual mix between the sort of lemony citrus and the and grapefruit. It has a little bit of sharpness to it, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I would stick with that analogy to it actually. Definitely a sort of Pils core to it, with this kind of very unusual lemon citric and grapefruit maracuya sort of fruit in there too. Very interesting beer. As I say to you, I've never tried anything quite like this before, so I'd really be interested to try some of their other beers there, and it would actually be quite interesting to see how this would this kind of Bacuri fruit would actually mix in an IPA. It would be really cool to see them brew an IPA style of this beer. But yeah, in terms of the body of this one, or the mouthfeel, very, very light bodied, quite crisp, very easy drinking I would say. It's not even an oily mouthfeel, it's quite a wet one actually. It's a very, very, very light bodied beer. The carbonation isn't too prominent actually. And I would say it's a very fresh tasting beer, but maybe that's just because the fruit as a taste for me, as a flavour, is so unusual. So you know, if you get the chance to try this beer, it's something very, very different. I've never ever tasted a beer like this, and I've never tasted this fruit, the Bacuri fruit, either. So maybe it'd be worth my while actually going and see if I can find some of this fruit in some of the exotic fruit shops in Aberdeen or something like that, and give it a try. But yeah, it's a very unique beer, so I would say to you, definitely give this beer a try if you get it. As I say, you can pick it up in a lot of the odd bin stores in Aberdeen, a really unusual kind of style of fruit beer, so give it a try and see what you think. A very, very unique beer. That's all I can really say about it, to be honest with you, with a nice kind of Pilsner core beer. So if you like a fruity Pilsner beer in the sort of German style, you know, give this guy a try. But anyway, I hope you found my beer review informative. As I say, a very, very unique beer. Definitely worth your while trying this one if you get the chance. So as always, please let me know in the comments section if you do happen to have tried this beer yourself. Always interesting to hear other people's thoughts on these beers. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Hopefully in the future I will be able to do more Brazilian beer reviews for you. But thanks again for watching, and I will catch you soon with more beer reviews. Cheers.